Perfect. So using that video as a jumping off point, it's really kind of a great precursor to talk a little bit about Archer and our mission. So the beautiful picture you see here, probably gives you a pretty strong idea of what we're doing and what we're looking to accomplish. We are developing and certifying an all-electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. And we're not only looking to develop and manufacture this aircraft, but we're also going to be operating the aircraft as an urban air mobility ride-sharing service to transport people in and around the urban environment. So as Eric showed on his slides, think trips that are typically between about 10 and 50 miles. Those are usually the trips in an urban environment that are going to most likely provide substantial time savings and thus provide really a powerful, kind of benefit and use case. So first, just want to talk about our mission. It's simple but powerful. Notice the word benefits in our mission statement, right? And really, this is really, talking about all electric aerospace and this advancement. It'll enable us to connect communities like never before, give people back their most valuable resource, which is time. And how they can use that time in more valuable ways than just sitting in traffic, as Eric was mentioning. It's about inspiring really a new generation of air travelers or micro explorers, as we call them at Archer, and then ultimately supporting global decarbonization goals. So very quickly, just want to talk about how we're executing on our plan to bring that mission and vision to reality. So, it's been a really exciting year for the team here at Archer. We've made a lot of progress, as you see here on this slide. Just recently, we went public. We're listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and ultimately that's important because it provides us the capital necessary to get our aircraft through the development process, stand up our manufacturing capability, and begin to build out the ecosystem to ultimately operate that aircraft as an aerial ride-sharing business. We've already announced partnerships with the cities of Los Angeles and Miami to launch our service. Both cities really display the type of conditions that will make UAM beneficial, right? There's a large number of daily trips occurring in those cities. There's significant congestion to both airports and the central business districts within those cities. And they also have hospitable weather for the type of operation or early operations for these aircraft. When we look at our go-to-market journey and accelerating our process there, we've built some important strategic partnerships. Ed will talk a little bit more about our United Airlines partnership, but ultimately United is our launch partner. They've ordered $1 billion worth of aircraft with an additional option for $500 million of aircraft. And really what we're looking to do is leverage their experience as an airline operator as we build our urban air mobility service. More on the manufacturing side of our business, we have a partnership with Stellantis. Stellantis is the resulting organization that was formed out of the merger between Fiat Chrysler and Peugeot. I think they're the fourth largest auto manufacturer by volume now. And really, we're going to work with them on scaled and advanced manufacturing capabilities. We'll also leverage some of their supply chain network as we look to build our aircraft. And then lastly, when we talk about the operations and landing sites, I think Chuck was talking about this earlier, vertiports are going to be an extremely important part of the ecosystem. And we think we can potentially leverage existing infrastructure, whether that's aviation infrastructure today, such as heliports, helipads, or airports, or other types of infrastructure, whether that's parking structures or other open spaces that are underutilized that could be retrofitted as landing sites. And then really importantly, we're on track for certification in 2024. So we finalized just recently our G1 issue paper with the Federal Aviation Administration. And that really is important because it establishes our path to achieve FAA type certification for our aircraft. And it's really important to note that, the aircraft will be certified to the same rigorous aviation standards as any other commercial aircraft today. So speaking of our aircraft and transitioning to highlight that a little bit here, what you see behind the words is Maker. So Maker is our full-scale demonstrator aircraft. Maker is going to be really important to allow us to collect important performance data on some of the aircraft systems and subsystems. We unveiled Maker earlier this year, and she has been transported over to the flight test facility, and she's getting ready for her first hover flight scheduled shortly in the next, but before the end of the year, actually. So again, like I said, our certified aircraft, it will be certified kind of to the FAA standards. Our certified aircraft will hold up to 4 passengers and be human piloted. And everything we're doing is, when we think about the design of the aircraft, is being designed for certification and scaled manufacturing, always keeping that in mind throughout the whole process. When we look at all electric aviation, I think we can really use history as a guide as far as the impact it can have on society. As we look back over time, every major aerospace advancement has created substantial societal benefit, which has created a more interconnected and prosperous world ultimately. I really think that this eVTOL evolution it's no different. It will provide transportation that is safer, quieter, cleaner, and more affordable than ever before. Eric hit on this a little bit in his presentation. When we talk about safety, safety is incredibly important. It's really the foundation for everything we do at Archer. We're ensuring the highest levels of rider and public safety and security at all times with everything we do. Some of the technology that we're integrating into the aircraft is with safety in mind. So as you see here, we have 12 rotors on this aircraft. We're developing something called distributed electric propulsion technology. DEP technology means that there will really be redundant safety features on this aircraft. There will be no single point of failure on the aircraft. And that's really important, especially when we talk about public acceptance and really showing the safety of these aircraft. The aircraft will be much quieter. That's not only due to the all-electric powertrain, but also due to the propeller technologies, which will allow for significant noise reduction. Eric mentioned that earlier. Really, that'll allow us to integrate our operations truly into the fabric of our communities, so we can locate these aircraft in the vertiports in the most convenient, accessible places for our riders. We do want to use these aircraft to really help advance global decarbonization goals. These aircraft will operate with 0 local emissions due to its all-electric powertrain. And then lastly, one of the most important things here is affordability. Electricity is cheaper than fossil fuels to power this aircraft. And there's also a significant reduction in maintenance costs by eliminating those single points of failure that you see in some more complex powertrain systems. And what that does is it leads to a much lower cost to operate that aircraft, which ultimately leads to more affordable prices for riders. And that unlocks commercial viability, which has really never been possible before on intracity air travel. So transitioning from the aircraft to the UAM, Urban Air Mobility Service of the future, to enable this UAM service and seamless end-to-end customer journey that we look to create, we're truly building an entire suite of products around the aircraft. So I've got a few builds to this slide. So it all starts really with the customer at the heart of our business. So safety and the customer is always at the heart of everything we do. We're keeping that in mind at all times as we build our UAM product portfolio and ecosystem. So that ecosystem is a whole suite of products, as I've mentioned. And while the aircraft is the crown jewel of that product portfolio, what we're doing is building something that's greater than just the aircraft alone. It's truly this entire ecosystem. And that ecosystem is comprised of a forward-facing application. That application is where you would go and book your flight. And not only book your flight, but also create the entire origin to destination travel that you're looking to accomplish. We'll be building out a network of vertiports. Those are the takeoff and landing sites that will be integrated in convenient, accessible locations in communities. And then, of course, the aircraft itself. And when you look at all of those items together, what that does is it creates a seamless customer journey. Beyond the product portfolio, we're also looking to create human-centered design and lead with design. What we want to do is create the interconnectedness of our product portfolio. When we think about aircraft design, how can we accommodate people of all abilities? How can we integrate technologies that connect us with the world below us as we fly and allow, again, for that seamless customer journey? And everything's going to be built really on a foundation of data, partnerships, and digital orchestration. And that will really help to inform our execution of our go-to-market strategy. So, for example, when we talk about data, right, we have built at Archer a proprietary data science platform, which we call Prime Radiant. Prime Radiant will help us make data-informed decisions really across our business. We're using data to help model the configuration and inform the aircraft design. We're using data, demand data to help design optimal vertiport networks. And we're also using data to help determine pricing and optimization of our operations, of our UAM service. And really what we want to do here is, leverage the power of technology to transform the customer experience. So I've got a quick video here. Let me see if this plays. Oops. So, as mentioned on the previous slide, we're using data to inform the most convenient, accessible locations for vertiports. So here's a quick example of that in practice in LA. So the video shows over the average of 50 million trips daily in LA. Bar heights represent average trip volume. And what we can do is use that data to identify optimal vertiport networks to serve as many riders as conveniently as possible. So now I'll just quickly turn it over to Ed to talk a little bit about our partnership with United.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. And also thank you to Northwestern for having us today and allowing us to present to you all. So I'll touch on our partnership with Archer from two different angles. One, as an investor and collaborator in the company, and two, how United as a customer can provide value to our customers. First off, as an investor, we've already started to take a hands-on approach to provide expertise through regular scheduled steering committees in which we meet with Archer's management to discuss the various ways in which United can contribute to all the areas that Archer is trying to develop and grow. A few areas that come to mind would be in product development, utilizing United's in-house flight testing and engineering team and pilot training. These are areas that we have a wide range of both experience and know-how. And as we progress in our relationship, we can turn these into actual operational synergies, whether it be in pilot training or something like maintenance, using the vast scale of United's operation to provide resources as Archer works to operationalize and commercialize their aircraft. And then to speak more broadly, United has a core focus on sustainability and supporting technology that leads to greener forms of travel. We view our investment in Archer as a way to be on the ground floor of emerging and enabling green technologies, to be able to monitor how their technology advances throughout the course of the next decade into perhaps new use cases and business applications. Now, as a customer, we're excited about the potential value proposition we can offer to our own customers, and how what we're offering is very consistent with the high-end premium experience that United is known for. Being able to offer our customers the ability to avoid the stress of a time-consuming trip through a heavily congested commute to the airport and potentially bringing them to the secure side of that airport, that can really be a high-value differentiating experience for our customers. Our hubs are located in some of the most heavily congested cities in the country, where trips to the airport can take an hour or longer, even though the distance from the city center to the airport is less than 20 to 30 miles. This is the perfect mission profile for us, meaning that our average trip, basically the average trip of passengers to the airport, lies well within the Archer operating specs. And as we look to the future of what our product offering could become, there are many ways we could integrate an Archer ride into the United customer experience. Maybe instead of the originating airport as the starting point on your itinerary, it is the vertiport located in your neighborhood. So, for example, if you have a business meeting from Chicago and you have to fly to New York, instead of your ticket saying O'Hare to Newark, your ticket could say, the Loop all the way down to Wall Street, where you take you find the vertiport located in the Loop, take an Archer aircraft to O'Hare, you fly to Newark, and then when you land at Newark, take an Archer all the way down to Wall Street. Or if you book a room with our hotel partner Marriott, you can take an Archer vehicle as your shuttle back and forth from the hotel's rooftop. So I think as urban air mobility becomes more and more a part of our lives, so too will we find more and more use cases that we can offer to our customers. I think United's breadth of operation, our deep customer base, and industry know-how can add to our long-term partnership and make sure that we can both benefit long into the future. And then I think, Andrew, I'll toss it back to you. We have one last slide here.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Really appreciate it. There's obviously a lot of potential between between some of the use cases you were just talking about there. So just wanted to end the conversation today with some other key considerations for urban air mobility as we're thinking about truly bringing this aircraft and capability to market. I think there's a few other things that we're working on at Archer that I think are really critical as we think about urban air mobility in the future. And the first thing is developing the policy frameworks, especially at the municipal level, really to facilitate the adoption of urban air mobility. At Archer, we're working collaboratively with city officials to figure out how we can thoughtfully integrate urban air mobility into communities. I think Chuck mentioned this earlier, for example, like updating things such as land use regulations or building codes to allow for vertiport permitting and operations. That's all going to be really important. And not only that, creating blueprints maybe that can be used in municipalities throughout the country or the region. I think another important thing here is, how do we truly create a multimodal system? Eric had mentioned this a little bit earlier. How can we enhance and complement existing transportation infrastructure? This isn't going to immediately replace all existing modes of transportation and create this Jetsons future as it's been mentioned a couple times here. But, hopefully over time, what we can do is by accessing and opening up the third dimension is take pressure off of strained transit infrastructure that exists today. When we talk about public acceptance, and I'm sure Yolanka, pardon me, is going to dive into this a little bit further, but in rapidly changing industries, engagement, education, and acceptance often go hand in hand. At Archer, we're actively engaging with all stakeholders, especially with diverse perspectives, to help us really build the social license to operate, and really wanting to demonstrate that this is evolutionary aerospace technology that can have truly transformative impacts on society for a number of reasons that we've already talked about. And then lastly, I think it's important to really look at the economic, opportunities that this industry will create, especially through local workforce development, real estate development opportunities around vertiport sites, and really other, economic impact. I think, not to get too philosophical, but when I think about vertiports, I tend to think about how ports in the past have really been economic generators for communities. Everything from shipping ports to airports in the past, now to potential vertiports in the future. If you think about the economic stimulus that has really been driven out of ports, it's truly beneficial. So with that, I think I will turn it over to you.